What's going on, guys? In this video I'm bringing you a definitive guide to a very specific fragrance line that at the recording of this I have every version that has been made in this line, and it's one I've been wanting to do for about a year now, finally getting around to it. I got inspired to do this video. We're talking about one of the all-time greats when it comes to blue. One of the first fragrances people will think of is Ralph Lauren's Polo Blue, which I do have right here, the original Eau de Toilette. We've got every rendition and every version ever made of this fragrance. We're going to talk about them one by one chronologically, so stay tuned. So released in 2003 is Polo Blue Eau de Toilette. This is kind of the scent profile of the early 2000s. This is very iconic. Watery, aquatic, ozonic, known most notably for this watery cucumber smell, heavily replicated over the years. This fragrance at this recording is 20 years. It's 2 decades since this fragrance came out. Now, this is not a 20-year-old bottle. I did pick this up last year and rebought it. I used to have it many years ago. It is one of my favorite fragrance DNAs of all time. It's a little musky, very fruity, cucumber melon type of smell. There's a bit of greenery here, but it's not overly green. Like, there's a basil note here that provides typically a green spice in most fragrances. While you get a little bit of that, it just provides this fresh greenness because there's so many watery, fruity facets to this fragrance. Fruity fresh, but not fruity sweet. Now, this has never been known as some powerhouse fragrance. It is immensely powerful. It is a all-time great compliment getter. But for me, especially with the newer bottles, I don't remember. I want to say we romanticize how they used to perform many years ago, but for this one, it's like a 3, maybe 4-hour fragrance. After about an hour or so, it is a pretty close skin scent. So there's about an hour to 2 hours of magic with this fragrance, but it's one of those fragrances that you just have to respray. It is worth experiencing, if nothing else, because I'll have links to all but one of these down below, because one of these, which is the next one we're talking about, is ridiculous from resellers, long discontinued, but we'll get to that in a minute. But it's worth checking out. All of these are pretty affordable for the most part. Even the newest flanker, I paid $55 for a 75 ml from Joma Shop, which we'll have that link below. But starting things off with the original, the one that started this entire thing, arguably the best modern Polo DNA like in existence, Polo Blue. The next one to come out was in 2009. This is the one that's crazy from resellers. I'm not going to hang them out to dry, but there's a gentleman that has a small indie brand that was kind enough to send me a bunch of discontinued Ferrari fragrances, and in that, he pays attention. He heard me say that I'll never get this fragrance. This will be the only Polo Blue I'll never have because I'm refused to pay $200+ for this, but I have Polo Red, White, and Blue. This is the one that's crazy to get. This is not worth paying resale for at all. It smells really good. It's actually my wife's favorite when it comes to scent. Of all the Polo Blues, it smells incredible. It takes that original watery cucumber smell and makes it fruitier with this red apple note. It's literally that simple. It smells very much like this one with an added red apple note. Performs about the same, 3, maybe 4 hours. It's a little bit more zesty and fruity overall. Still clean and musky, woodsy, aromatic, watery, just more fruity sweet than it is fruity fresh. That's the big difference here. Fruity fresh, fruity sweet. But I have to tell you, there's a crisp tonic. It says that this was a tester. It says at the bottom, a crisp tonic. Yes, the red apple mixed with the cucumber, it's got this crisp brightness to it. And it smells great. Absolutely not worth the resale prices. If you can find this one for a really great price somehow, or have a friend that's been sitting on the bottle forever and is like, yeah, man, take it. Yeah, add it to your collection. It's good stuff, but it's not phenomenal to where it's a must-have. Damn, it smells good, though. I do wear this one sporadically. I'll just randomly spray it on my hand. I'm kind of waiting for summer because I got it after last summer ended, and it's built for high heat. So when summer starts to roll around, with recording this, we're in the early stages of spring. When summer rolls around, this is going to make its way into the rotation. Again, 3 to 4 hours. It's pretty much what and what. If you have this, you really don't need this. Literally, the only difference is the addition of this red apple note. It's a little bit more crisp and bright, but fruity sweet versus fresh and fruity. The next one released in 2012. I had some coworkers in the past and childhood friends that wore this one a lot in the latter years. As young adults, basically. And like I said, one specific coworker that if you see this, you know who you are. This is his go-to. It is Polo Blue Sport. the last of this particular style bottle before they started to change them, which we'll discuss in a little bit. So what's different about this is very green and minty fresh. It's crisp, it's spicy, there's some ginger. It does have a little bit of that original DNA, but the biggest difference here is it's very green and minty. A lot of mint here. There's green notes, there's fern, patchouli, green, actually green notes I think is listed in it if I remember correctly. A bunch of random green fragrance notes, and it makes for quite the invigorating smell. God, that's good. We're going to spray it one more time. Now, this is the only bottle I've ever had. I have smelled it countless times in the past, but I had never had a bottle. This was one of the few that I never had a bottle that's a recent addition to the collection. I picked this up last year as I started to I wanted to get all of the Polo Blues because I wanted to do this video and I love the DNA. And this one's, I'm not going to say the most unique of the group, but it's the best daytime work fragrance. Like, I was in the car business, that particular coworker that this was his signature scent. It's great when you work in a humid climate and you're indoors and outdoors all throughout your day. You're in and out. You want something bright, fresh, easy going, easy to like, has a little bit of a professional, safe quality to it, but also doesn't smell like all of your coworkers with the modern blue fragrances and such. That's what I like about this one. This one's actually a decent performer, though. This one, I get about 5 to 6 hours on my skin. This is a much better performer overall than the previous two renditions of Polo Blue. So if you like minty, fresh, green fragrances, and you've ever been a fan of anything about the Polo Blue DNA, this is probably going to be the one for you. You can still get them for a very affordable price from discounters online. Even tester bottles and such. I have a full presentation. The only difference with the testers is they come in a white box. You do get the caps with these Ralph Lauren Polo testers, but like I said, the greenest of the line for it being called Polo Blue. It still maintains that original DNA, but minty, fresh, and green. Just a really, really good daytime scent. Polo Blue Sport. The next release in 2016 was the first rendition of the newer style bottle. This is the second version of the Polo Blue bottles. This has the silver edge. The style is completely different. They went to a different style 4.2 ounce bottle. This is Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. Probably the most slept on in the line. So this literally smells like a higher oil concentration of the original. The notes aren't exactly the same. This is much more green, but also much more aquatic. You still get a little bit, the notes aren't the same. Like I said, you don't have the cucumber note in here, but it still smells pretty much just like this. A higher oil, richer concentration. It's a little soft and powdery, just a little touch of powder from some orris. Very woodsy, fresh, green, and aquatic. There's actually that modern synthetic sea notes accord for that aquatic saltwater feel. This is gorgeous. This is longer lasting. This is a 6-hour fragrance on my skin, but it's not as bright and loud as the Eau de Toilette. It's a true Eau de Parfum where you're sacrificing some projection and brightness at the top to get better longevity and a deeper, richer scent profile. This is the most slept on and underappreciated in the line, in my opinion. Honestly, if I had to pick one to wear to work every single day, you work in an indoor climate-controlled environment, Polo Blue Sport's great. But this is the one, when it comes to just the definitive work scent of the group, all of them work in an office setting. Don't get me wrong, every single version of Polo Blue is a great office fragrance, but if I had to pick one that stands a little bit taller than the rest, it is this one because it's a little bit subdued in its projection. It's not going to grab people heavily, but it does have a little bit of a trail that will linger. People will smell you, especially in that first hour, hour and a half. But I get about 6 hours. It's kind of in that average longevity range. On the weaker side for an Eau de Parfum, don't get me wrong, but definitely overall longer lasting than the original. It's kind of, if I had to pick between the two, even though this is the most iconic and nostalgic, this is the better version overall, as long as you're okay with not having as loud and bright of projection in that first hour. Just a gorgeous scent. Like I said, probably the most underappreciated version of Polo Blue is Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. In 2018 came this sleeper high heat gem. I featured this, I want to say, in pretty much every high heat, extreme heat topic list that I've done because it really shines. This is the great outdoorsy type of Polo Blue. If you're an outdoorsman, you're always out there, you like the DNA, you want the brightest, the absolute brightest and freshest of the group, you're gonna want Polo Blue, Polo Ultra Blue. So Polo Ultra Blue has this citron lemon combo that is so zesty, sharp, and bright. It still has the lemon verbena and basil from the eau de parfum, so it really still ties to the DNA heavily. The aquatic tone here is from sea salt, though. It's not so much watery because you have so much juicy citrus here. There was no need for the addition of a synthetic watery accord of any kind, like the C Notes synthetic note that was used in the eau de parfum. I'm not saying there's not a trace of it in there, but as far as the note pyramid that's available publicly, it's not in there, and it doesn't smell exactly the same. It ties into the DNA, but there's this mineral synthetic type of accord that they created here, and this may sound strange, but it oddly works. Picture wet concrete, wet cement, like you just washed your car in the high heat in the summer. That smell that the evaporating water off of cement smells like, mixed with a healthy dose of sharp, bright, juicy citron and lemon. Nice and salty, sun-kissed, sweaty type of skin saltiness, more so than aquatics. This is one of the more unique versions of Polo Blue that still doesn't veer too far off the path of the original's DNA, but definitely takes a little bit of a turn and does its own thing. It's just mega, mega fresh. This one needs the heat. If you don't have the heat, it is not going to project for crap. After about 30 minutes to an hour, it's sitting very close to the skin. But if you're outdoors, your body's heating up, you have activity, you're out at a picnic, an event, you're just doing whatever. Outdoor sports, you go and play golf, you name it. Outdoors type of setting and situations, and you're going to heat, your skin and body temperature is going to heat up. This one, I'm telling you, it'll get going. And it'll get going really well for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. I've experienced that range and longevity. God, that smells so good. That citron, if you've ever smelled citron in these fragrances, it's such a zesty, sharp, bright, almost stings the nostrils type of sharpness to this lemon grapefruit type of smell. Absolute great stuff. Again, underappreciated, doesn't really get much love, and we're going to talk about why with the next 3 fragrances. But as long as you're okay without this ridiculous performance, which if you like any of the previous 4, you should be okay with the way this performs because it smells incredible and it's built for the heat. It's Polo Ultra Blue. In 2019, a lot of people dubbed this as the king of the Polo Blue Mountain. And it's a hard argument. Until the newest one, I would argue that this is the best version of Polo Blue, and there's still a really good argument for it because it's the most unique. It's the most, I don't want to say niche take on the DNA, but because it doesn't have that level of quality and uniqueness. But for the Polo Blue line, Gold Blend is special. Still has a lot of the notes from all of the previous versions minus mint, which the cardamom here provides some of that, but the biggest the biggest kicker was the word I was looking for me, is the inclusion of incense. Any of you that know me personally know I'm a big fan of incense. Incense notes tend to really pop and work really well with my skin chemistry, and that's the same thing here. You get the fruity melon tone from the original. It does have the melon note. It's got the citron from Ultra Blue. It's got ginger from the from Sport. Like, it really takes a lot of accords and notes from the previous versions, most of them anyways, and adds some deep, rich depth by adding this rich ambery incense dry down. The incense comes in early and often on my skin, but it gets warmer and much more ambery while still maintaining this bright, fresh, green, aquatic, citrus-heavy type of smell that the DNA is known for. This stuff is spectacular. Like I said, there's an argument for this being the best version of Polo Blue, and I'm not going to argue with people that feel that it is the best, because there was a time when I felt that way also, and like I said, it's great. It's very subjective, to each their own, but those of you that do believe this to be the best, this is your favorite version of Polo Blue, I'm with you. Now, this is also the one that I would recommend if you're looking for really good performance, 6 to 8 hour range of longevity on my skin, the best performer of the ones we've talked about so far. But you want kind of that evening version, I guess you could say. This is much more evening appropriate Polo Blue. Sure, it'll work fine during the day. I don't think it's the best option in the summer, but it's not too heavy, dark, and rich to where you can't wear this in high heat summer. But as far as spring, fall, winter, evening or daytime, more so evening, Polo Blue Gold Blend, it's an absolute banger. So 2020, it starts to get interesting, because this is a lot of people's favorite that like blue, like modern blue fragrances that have the synthetics, your ambroxans, your amberwoods, your heavy synthetic ambergris that are very aquatic or marine. This encompasses that. This smells like if you mixed traditional Polo Blue Eau de Toilette with Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette with some green aspects to it, such as this bright green cypress note. We're talking about Polo Deep Blue Parfum. 2020 release, great performer, 8 to 10 hours in longevity on my skin. This is the best performing version of Polo Blue for me personally. It's pretty loud in the first 2 hours. I would say beyond arm's reach in the first hour for sure. And then even, arm's reach type of stuff pushes pretty well off the skin for that second hour. This is really good. No secret, those of you who've been following me a while, big fan of blue fragrances, hence the reason we're talking about an entire blue fragrance line. But this is the bluest of the blues in this line. What do I mean by blue? Mass appealing, modern day synthetic, crowd pleasers. It's meant to please everyone. It's meant to be easygoing and work all the time and have people tell you you smell good when they smell you. Don't get me wrong, all of these can do that. But this one was built with that style DNA, kind of piggybacking off the success of the modern blue fragrance, doing Polo Blue's twist for this line. Ralph Lauren knew what they were doing, and they did a great job because this is one of the best blue fragrances to come out in the last handful of years. It definitely is. If you like that style, you have to like Ambroxan because there's plenty of that metallic shower gel Ambroxan smell here. And it can be rough for some with sensitive noses and get prone to headaches with heavy synthetics, because this is a heavy synthetic, but it has a little bit of this mango note that you'll find in like the Polo Black line, Polo Black and Polo Double Black, that green mango, beautiful fruity note that really makes those particular two Polo fragrances really special. You can find that here with some of the traditional type of grapefruit, not really the cucumber smell, but it has the C notes back from the Eau de Parfum, so you do get that nice aquatic hit that gives you that blue oceanic feel mixed with the Ambroxan, and then of course there's some musk, there's a little bit more green tones and such, but overall it's as simple. I know I made it long-winded, but it's as simple as Polo Blue mixed with Dior Sauvage with some added green aspects like fir balsam and especially cypress. You can definitely pick out the cypress early in the lifespan of this fragrance. It really jumps out. In the top note, it's fruity and green and very aquatic. That's the main things you're going to get here, and it's a great performer. Like I said, for me, 8 to 10 hours of longevity, pretty good projection in the first 2 hours. The bluest of the blue in this line is Polo Deep Blue Parfum. Now then, 2022, the newest version. This is the one that I argue against Gold Blend, because the last three flankers are the best three flankers. Deep Blue Parfum, Gold Blend, and Polo Blue Parfum. This one's great. So if you're looking for heavy projection, look at a different flanker. Look at Gold Blend, look at the Eau de Toilette, look at Deep Blue Parfum. Those project much better than this. This is rich and warm. This is an 8 to 10 hour fragrance on my skin as well. This performs like a true parfum. It sits close to the skin. It's rich, warm, smooth, and refined. This is the classy Polo Blue. This is the Polo Blue I would advise if you wear a suit and tie or Oxfords on a regular basis and you want that more professional take on the DNA. Maybe Polo Blue was something you wore in your teens and now you're in your 30s and you want to kind of revisit that fragrance, but you want kind of the grown-up version in many ways. Here you go. So this has citrus, a lot of spice from pink pepper and cardamom, bright aromatics, but most notably this olibanum, which is frankincense, oak combination in the dry down that provides this dark, smoky, woodsy, resinous feel at the core of this fragrance. Because I get it even at the top, I get the feel of these base notes, and it just intensifies more and more as it dries. And like I said, it lasts a long time, but it's not real in your face. It's not loud, but it will linger in the air. This one can captivate people. It does have that ability. It's the least synthetic smelling, because it's the richest and highest oil concentration of the group. I don't know the exact oil concentration, but to call it a parfum, it needs to be at minimum 22%, realistically 25% to get in that pure parfum territory. So I would think it's at least 22%. I cannot confirm nor deny. This is an assumption based off of the way it smells, performs, acts on my skin, and the name. It's an assumption based off of the information I have. But for me, it's the best smelling one, because that's number one. That's the most important thing. Does it smell great to you? All of these smell great to me. I would not have bought all of these if I didn't like all of these. None of these were blind buys except for this one. This one was sent to me by a friend and I had never smelled it prior. All the rest I had smelled before either through sampling with a friend at a department store or previously owned an older bottle of. Whereas this is the one for me. The newest flanker, for my taste, is the best one. I put this up there near the pedestal, not quite on the same pedestal as, but near the pedestal of Bleu de Chanel Parfum, which I've said many times I think is the best, most well-composed blue fragrance to date. To each their own, that is my opinion. And just like this is my opinion, that this is the best version of Polo Blue. And if you like anything about the previous versions, but you want the smooth, refined, grown-up version, basically, for lack of a better term, you're going to want to get your nose on the newest version from 2022, Polo Blue Parfum. Well, I actually had a great time talking about these fragrances with you guys. This is a video I've been wanting to do for at least a year now. I had a decant of Polo Blue Parfum when I wanted to do the video, and I said, no, I'm gonna wait. I know I'm gonna get a bottle at some point. Let me wait till I get a bottle. I've had a bottle for 2 months or something now. It was time. I got inspired. I got in the mood to do it. It's late in the evening. It's actually midnight, 11:58 p.m. as I'm speaking to you guys right now, so I'm gonna be staying up late to edit this and get it ready for the next day, but I got inspired to do it. I had to record immediately. I love these fragrances. If you've never tried any version of Polo Blue, I think you're missing out. It's one of the most iconic, heavily replicated DNAs of the 2000s and beyond. There's literal cheap companies that have made their versions. There's small clone companies. There's large clone companies. There's kind of niche takes. It's heavily copied. Long before Aventus came along and fragrances like that, there was shower gel fragrances all over the place, because this and Zaharoff Chrome are two of the most well-renowned all-time great shower gel fragrances. This just has a little bit more character than Zaharoff Chrome, to be honest with you. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What version of Polo Blue have you tried? Do you own? Have you owned in the past? Do you have some nostalgic ties to any of these? I mean, these two are probably the most likely, if you're in my age group, of nostalgic fragrances for you. Every time I bring this one up, people come out the woodworks to talk about how much they enjoy it. So it's not as underappreciated as I say, based on recent events with comments. But definitely want to see what you guys think about it. Below, I'll try to have links to everything down below to find them as affordable as I can for you guys. Until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any version of Ralph Lauren Polo Blue and you give it a spray now, you'll probably thank me later. It's iconic and it's all-time great. Have a good one, guys.